So I saw a pretty interesting debate on CNN, and I thought it'd be good to review. Do a little politics, something different, mix it up. So let's see here. There we go. This thing gonna show up too well. All those left foot. My computer not work. That's the thing. What the fuck? I can hear it. What is going on? Why does my computer not work? This computer's really old. I need. Yeah, I still need to get premium. All right. I thought this was a really impressive debate. So, let's go.
So you called the judge's order just earlier today, quote, patently unlawful, end quote, and said that it was an assault on democracy itself. Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President of the United States and his administration reserve all rights under the Constitution to conduct national security operations in defense of the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, which was passed into law by the founding generation of this country, men like John Adams, was written explicitly to give the President the authority to repel an alien invasion of the United States. That is not something that a district court judge has any authority whatsoever to injure.
Hell yeah, I still have an Xbox 360. I still have a PS2. I have a DS Lite. I mean, I like retro games. I actually like retro games more. I have a bunch of 360 games.
Fear with to injure.
They were really cheap.
Going to restrict or to restrain any way. You can read the law yourself. There's not one clause in that law that makes it subject to judicial review, let alone district court review.
So Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up.
This is how our system works. It starts with the judges, then continues up. She's BSing.
At what point does it become, in your view, legal for the justice system to be looking at this and making a judgment? And I fail to see how there's any other way but to start with where we're starting here before you get to eventually the Supreme Court.
Well, so first of all, there's a term in law, justiciable. This is not
Justiciable. So there's a term in law, justiciable. That's good.
In other words, this is not subject to judicial remedy. When the president is exercising his Article 2 powers to defend the country against an invasion or to repel a foreign terrorist that is unlawfully in the country, he's exercising his core Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief.
Is Venezuela invading?
So now she's interrupting because she's this guy is completely destroying the point she just tried to make about how it starts with the judge and then works its way up. He's saying like, look, what we're talking about here is a military command from the commander in chief. So this doesn't. It's think about it like this. Well, he's gonna bring this point up later. When they make a decision in a battlefield, they don't consult judges to see if it's okay to, like when we dropped bombs on Yemen, we didn't consult a judge to make sure that was okay because it's a military action.
In the U.S.
This is a very important point. This is a Title 50 authority. It's a commander-in-chief authority. So just to ask you a simple question, you talk about how the system works. does a district court judge have the right to direct or enjoin troop movements overseas? Yes or no?
She's never gonna answer this question, just like atheists won't answer my questions.
Well, Stephen, my question,
Well, no,
if you could answer my question first.
in other words,
Is Venezuela invading our country in a way that would apply
TDA,
this way?
so I'll answer yours and you'll answer mine. Under the terms of the statute, Tren de Aragua is an alien enemy force that has come here as detailed at length in the proclamation at the direction of the Venezuelan government. The statute says that a president has the ability to repel an invasion or predatory incursion that is directed by
By
a
a
foreign
state or a
government.
government, right? Are they a state or a government?
This would be, yes, it is documented that TDA was sent by the Venezuelan government in the proclamation.
She's arguing because the immigrants themselves aren't a government or something, that it's not a government, but he's saying the government basically sent these illegal immigrants into our country. So it is akin to an invading force from a foreign nation, foreign power.
And here's an even more important point. Under the Constitution, who makes that determination? A district court judge elected by no one, or the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy? The president and the president
So do you
alone
then-
makes a
do you
decision
then
of
think-
what triggers that
So do you
determination
then
in the
think we
statute.
are actually at war with Venezuela, the nation state
You're not-
of
you're not-
Venezuela?
Okay, now this is poisoning the well. So this guy is like completely cooking her. She's already within a minute. She's been her point has been completely eviscerated, and now she's more. Do you think we're at war with Venezuela? Just like side issue, semi-related side issue.
You're not hearing me and you're not understanding me.
I feel your pain. It's like talking to an atheist.
Read the statute. Alien Enemies Act, 1798. It says if a predatory incursion is perpetrated by a foreign government. So it lists three qualifying actions.
Yeah,
It
but
could be an
it
act
does
of war.
say in the
it could
very
be-
beginning,
it could-
there has to be declared war against a nation or a
No.
state. That's what it says.
No, wrong. Look up the statute. It's on my account on social
That's
media.
actually where we
You can
found it
see
earlier.
Yes, it says or a predatory incursion or an invasion. The statute delineates three criteria for triggering the Alien Enemies Act. One is an act of war, which, by the way, an invasion is an act of war, but put that aside. One is an invasion, which this is. One is a predatory incursion, which this is. So it actually meets all three statutory criteria. But with respect to this particular statute, the proclamation is utilizing the incursion and invasion
Okay.
language in the statute.
So,
But this is a
big
very
picture,
important question, because no, hold on. This is a very important question. You said the way our system works is the President of the United States commands the armed forces of the country, commands the foreign policy of the country, and that's subject to district court review. That is fundamentally untrue.
I never said that,
is
Stephen.
She did say that at the beginning. She said the way the system works. Here, let's review it. What a liar. I never said that. Let's go back.
Is here with me now. Stephen, thanks very much for being in the arena.
Glad to, thank you.
So you called the judge's order just earlier today, quote, patently unlawful, end quote, and said that it was an assault on democracy itself. Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President
No,
of
she
the United
says it.
States and his administration of the United States. Men like John, that a district court judge has any authority restrain anywhere, let alone district court review.
Wait, where does she say it?
So Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point
There we
does
go.
it become, in your view,
There we go, right there. Oh, I didn't say that.
has no authority at all? This is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point does it become, in
Oh,
your
I didn't say that. And then like she goes, I didn't say that.
One is a predatory incursion, which this is. So it actually meets all three statutory criteria. But with respect to this particular statute, the proclamation is utilizing the incursion and invasion
Okay.
language in the statute.
So
But this is a
big
very
picture,
important
Stephen.
question, because no.
Hey,
hold
Nemi.
on. It's a very important question. You said the way our system works is the President of the United States commands the armed forces of the country, commands the foreign policy of the country, and that's subject to district court review. That is
I
fundamentally
never
untrue.
said that.
That is
Yes,
I
you
will not say-
did.
never been true.
This-
Yes, you did. We just went over it.
A military
A
this,
district court judge can no more enjoin the expulsion of foreign terrorists to foreign soil than he can direct the movement of Air Force One, than he can direct the movement of an aircraft carrier, than he can direct Marco Rubio to
okay,
engage
do you
in
think the
diplomacy
Supreme
in a
Court has
country
any
or
say
not
over
to.
this or not? Like, does the Supreme Court of the United States
Now
have any
she's
say
gonna
over
evoke the
things that you're
Supreme, the Supreme Court. Blah blah blah.
finding right here?
I believe
What the hell? It's like she's not even listening to what he's saying. It's so frustrating to watch this. She's lying. She lies, and then she lies about lying, and then she goes straight back to lying.
what the Supreme Court will say is what I just said, which is that the president's conduct here is not subject to
Okay,
judicial
but you
review.
are
because
acknowledging
these are the
that
plenary-
they do in fact
these
have
are
a say
the-
here.
Well,
Even
You're acknowledging that judges have a say here. I didn't. This is complete bizarro crap. Shit, this is unbelievable double talk. What is this? How is this media? How does she have a job?
no, you think they may agree with you.
what we are expecting is the Supreme Court to say what has always been the case, which is when the president is using his powers as commander-in-chief, those determinations are not subject to judicial review. In other words, the president's designation of Tren Nicaragua as a foreign terrorist organization and as an alien enemy are part of his inherent plenary authority. There is
So
no way.
at what point in the
There is
system,
no way.
Stephen,
How
does
are you
do
going
the
to
courts
expel?
gain
Hold on.
power?
At what point in the system do courts gain power? She's not even listening to him. He keeps saying the judges don't dictate military strategy. And this is a military action taken by the commander in chief. And she keeps going back to this judge thing, and she's trying to what is this?
How are you going to expel illegal alien invaders?
This is what
from
they
our
do.
country, who are raping little girls, who are murdering little girls?
Who's JG's channel, Nemi? I don't even know who that is.
If each and every deportation has to be adjudicated in a district court judge, and that means you have no country, it means you have no sovereignty, it means you have no future. It is fundamentally incompatible to have a country and have individual expulsions adjudicated by a single district court
Okay,
judge.
I'm just trying to figure
It
out
is
at what point in the
impossible.
system do you, because what does the Trump administration believe? Because we do have separation of powers in this country. I hear what you're saying.
Yes,
You're saying the
separation of
district
powers.
court does
This
not
is the
have
judiciary
authority.
interfering
Stephen,
in
let me
the
finish.
executive function.
Let me
That is
finish.
the separation
Okay.
of power. That is the
Did you
separation of power.
ignore the judge's order here because you thought you could?
So the judge's order
Did you ignore the judge's order?
and the actions taken by the Departments of Defense, Justice, and
She keeps trying to frame she's desperately trying to frame this discussion as if they're ignoring, she just wants to say they're ignoring the judge. You're ignoring the judge. You're acting out, you're just doing what you want. But unilateral decisions, ignoring the judge, ignoring the judge.
Homeland Security are not in conflict. And the Department of Justice has been clear that they are not in conflict. But
So
I'm
you think that you did go along with the order that the judge put out? You do not think that the Trump administration
As the-
defied this order?
As the Justice Department said, there is no conflict between the judge's order
Gay G.
and the actions taken by the departments I just listed. But I'm making a deeper and more fundamental point.
Yeah.
The district
So,
court
yeah, if you
has
don't have to
no
follow it, why
ability.
didn't you?
The district court has no ability to in any way restrain the president's authorities under the Alien Enemies Act or his ability to conduct the foreign affairs of the United States. Let me paint a picture for you. President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had engaged in intensive diplomacy to obtain a bilateral security agreement with the nation of El Salvador. If a district court judge
So,
can
again-
join that bilateral security agreement,
Again,
then we do not
I get
have
it.
a
Stephen,
democracy.
you've made your
We
argument.
do not
I
have
got
a
it.
foreign policy.
We've heard you say this.
I-
Did
Uh-huh.
you ignore the
And again, did you ignore the judge? All she wants to do is frame this as they're ignoring the judge. And she's ignoring him. She's ignoring everything this guy's saying. This is unbelievably frustrating.
administration ignore the order from the district judge? It's a simple question.
I've answered, and I've answered it. I've answered it because the Department of Justice has made a filing in the court. But let me make another point. The judge, in this case, put the lives of every single person on those aircraft at risk. Did he know how much fuel was in those planes? Did he know the flight conditions? Did he know the weather conditions? Did he know how many crew hours? Did he know the need for crew rest? Did he know any of that? No. This judge violated the law. He violated the Constitution. He defied the system of government that we have in this country.
Because that does seem to
And
be
by the
what
way,
you're arguing.
these same district court judges didn't.
And then again, a frame. She's saying you couldn't really hear because he was talking, but she's like, "You're saying that you're going above the court." This is ridiculous framing.
Do a damn thing to stop Joe Biden from flooding this nation with millions.
They're trying. She's trying to make this interview have him come off as an authoritarian, but she's failing miserably because it's just bullshit emotional rhetoric. There's no substance to anything this woman is saying, and this guy is destroying her with logic and facts.
Illegal aliens. These district court judges didn't issue any injunctions to save the lives of Jocelyn
Is the
Hungary,
White House
Olympia Riley,
above
or
the
anyone
federal
else.
courts? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that what you said, there's a separation of powers. The judiciary
I just-
exercises
Stephen,
judgment and relief.
I don't speak to
Nemi, DM me the link in Discord.
the White House.
I can go.
You are here to speak
I will
for the,
do.
You're here to speak for the
Then
White House.
then I will.
I just
will
want you to
walk
answer
through
that
it.
one simple question.
I am.
Okay?
Ready? Here we go. Under a proper reading of the Constitution, district court judges provide relief to individual plaintiffs seeking relief. District court judges do not have the authority, as a general matter, to enjoin the functioning of the executive branch, but their authority is at its lowest point when the president is exercising his powers as commander-in-chief. And I asked you a question, you never answered it. Can a judge enjoin troop movements overseas? Can a district court judge enjoin troop movements overseas?
Stephen,
Yes, sir.
I am not going to get into the
Just say,
She's not gonna. Of course, Steven, I'm not gonna answer your question. They never answer questions. I asked Josie. I keep asking Josie questions, on that video I did. Like, Josie, what is absolute, eternal, unchanging, universal? What is it? Never answers. He just doesn't. I don't. There's I'm not bad faith, and then he acts like he's not bad faith.
say no,
This-
and then you'll know that I'm right.
This is a
Just say
separate
no,
question,
and you'll know that I'm
Stephen.
right.
Okay, we're not
No,
talking
it's
about
not.
other.
Oh, this is a separate question. Oh my god. Because if she knows if she answers that question, she's cooked. This is so bad faith.
The president
I need to ask you about
is
something
not.
else.
The
that's
president
important.
issued a proclamation delineating in detail how the Venezuelan regime sent this gang,
Okay.
this terrorist organization, to our shores. And by the way, and I love being here, but all the outrage that we are seeing from the Democrat Party and from the corporate media, none of that outrage was expressed when little Jocelyn Ungare was tortured and beaten
Stephen,
to death. None of that outrage was
I am not
expressed.
here.
Okay, notice what he's doing here. This is extremely good. All this woman is doing is this emotional thing about, like, oh my god, you guys went against the judge's orders? And he's like, yeah, but the judge doesn't have any authority because it's a military decision. Oh, but you went above the judge? So all she has is this emotional bullshit trying to frame him like an authoritarian.
When
Oh,
our nation was
This
flooded
is-
But so-
by illegal aliens.
I have just
So-
been simply trying to.
So he's abandoning logic and reason now, and now he's going to an emotional appeal. This is excellent what this guy's doing here.
This gang,
Okay.
this terrorist organization, to our shores. And by the way, and I love being here, but all the outrage that we are seeing from the Democrat Party and from the corporate media, none of that outrage was expressed when little Jocelyn Ungare was tortured and beaten to
Stephen,
death.
Amen. Emotional appeal. That's good. That hammers it home. Because people don't care about logic. They want to feel right. So now he's like, look at what these people murdered Jocelyn.
I
That
am
outrage
I
was
am not
expressed
here, and
when our
I.
nation was
This
flooded
is-
by
this
illegal
is-
aliens.
I have just been simply trying to get a simple answer to a simple question.
No, you're not. You've been trying to frame this debate. He's answered your question. You just don't like his answer. And all you have is this, like, emotional framing tactic.
No
But I'm
outrage
glad for the
necessary.
opportunity. and
Okay,
I'm
Western
glad for
not
the
the White House
opportunity.
is ahead of
But
the
I am.
But I
Okay,
need to ask you one more question. I'm gonna have to let you go.
Democrats defending trained
I'm gonna
journalists.
have to let you go. God, what a. Okay, I don't like to call women bitches, but this woman is a bitch.
Instead of celebrating President Trump expelling these terrorists from our midst. And I'm glad for the opportunity to explain how the separation of powers does work. If the president has to litigate every national security action with 700 district court judges, that we don't have a
Let me
functioning
ask
democracy.
you one other question about the president's power today. It's on a slightly different topic, but we saw President Trump's comments about the use of the auto pen, the pardons that President Biden signed. And I just want to know from you, has President Trump ever used an auto pen to sign official documents, either in his first term or since he took office a second time?
Well, I've seen President Trump hand sign every executive order my whole time, and every part.
Have you ever seen him use an auto pen?
But President Trump signs every single critical government function document. But here's the more important point about that, even more important. The more important point is that President Trump personally directs every single federal government policy.
Right, but has he ever signed anything with an auto pen?
To my knowledge, every single executive order, every single proclamation, every single major government action, every single thing that affects the lives, safety, and livelihoods of the American people that comes out of the executive office of the
We're talking about auto pens now. What the?
He has signed, but more importantly, he has directed. He has briefed. He has been involved in. And this is the most important point. It's not just that Joe Biden used the auto pen. It's that he didn't know it. He was not briefed on it. He was not aware of it. He did not approve it.
He's
senile. Not mentally aware of what the government was doing.
If we're talking about the legality of something signed with auto pen or not, I'm just trying to figure out if.
Look how horrible this woman is. This is so. She needs to get fired. Look at that. Look at that resting bitch face.
Well, if we're talking about the legality of something signed with auto pen or not, I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything President Trump signed. Stephen, I'm so sorry we're running out of time here. I do appreciate how much time you have spent.
Didn't know what was being signed in his name.
All right, I understand. I understand what you are saying.
Here's the difference between.
Because if you sign a document in distress, it doesn't count. Like, this woman I know, she tried to pull this on an NBA player where she never would sign the prenup, and then on the day of the wedding, she was going to sign the prenup, but she started acting all like hysterical and like out of control. And so if you're in a state of like if you're extremely emotionally distressed and you sign a document, that's not going to hold in court. So Biden being like completely senile, not knowing what he's doing and auto penning these things, that should be a similar situation, I would think. That CNN reporter needs to be fired. That was so bad. That was so bad. Here's another crazy thing.
Mudwater and mushroom.
Stuff I can't talk about on TikTok. Let's see if we can find the clip. Here.
Media. According to Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan, the Holocaust happened because of genocidal Nazi regime, which defined totalitarian for the 20th century, allowed too much free speech. This is a crazy exchange. Does media really think the Holocaust was caused by free speech?
Is this the same woman?
Fucker,
No, this is a different woman.
There's a lot of people talking about that. I'm actually really curious what this is.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political.
She's talking about J.D. Vance talking about free speech in Germany. She just said free speech was used to conduct a genocide.
Party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it.
Hey, Cat Earth, who is on the right side of history now? Look, everything I said and warned about, look what's happening. I was fucking right the whole time.
And you know that censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those
Amen, elephant ears. You tell her.
that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Well, he was
I've got to listen to this again.
standing in a country where free speech.
Where's the longer form version of this? There's got to be like where this is crazy. Okay, this is a 3-minute one.
And so I think if anyone's angry about his word, they don't have to agree with him, but to be angry about it, I think actually makes his point. I thought it was actually a pretty historic speech, whether you agree with him or not. I think the valid points he's making to Europe is we are concerned that the true values that we share, the values that bind us together with Europe, are things like free speech and democracy and our shared history in winning 2 world wars and defeating Soviet communism and the like. These are the values that we shared in common. And in that Cold War, we fought against things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you see backsliding and you raise that, that's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech his view of it, which a lot of people frankly share. And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are a lot,
There's a huge opposition party in the beginning. Yeah.
you don't have to agree when
Yeah,
someone.
why would you be upset that he's advocating for free speech? Who would that piss off? A fucking authoritarian fascist is who is going to piss off.
Speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it, and then you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
It's shocking. What is going on? How can you say that?
I was really hoping. So, like, the reason why I didn't want to watch the short clip is I was thinking to myself, there's no way, right? There's no way. This has got to be out of context. This is, but how is it? It's like that. It's like that Kick streamer clip earlier, where it's like, no, not only is it out of context, but it's even worse.
In a country where free speech.
It's not like it's clipped out of context, right? When you go and watch it in context, the context actually makes it fucking worse somehow. This is truly awful.
Was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the
So I have to
censorship
disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people.
Amen.
Primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none.
They burned fucking books. They're famous for burning books. And pre-Nazi Germany, you had the Weimar Republic. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But before Nazi Germany, they had laws against speech. There were speech laws. There was never free speech pre-Germany or during pre-Nazi Germany or during Nazi Germany. They burned books.
Also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe, and that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And
Little Marco's come a long way.
Little
since
Marco.
2016, hasn't he?
He's grown up.
He really has.
I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums without being offended, insulted, or upset. And I spoke to foreign ministers from multiple countries throughout Europe. Many of them probably didn't like the speech or didn't agree with it, but they were continuing to engage with us on all sorts of issues that unite us. So again, at the end of the day, I think that people give all that is a forum in which you're supposed to be inviting people to give speeches, not basically a chorus where everyone is saying the exact same thing. That's not always going to be the case when it's a collection of democracies where leaders have the right.
So they're criticizing JD's speech because he's advocating for free speech in Europe. That's wow.
And the privilege to speak their minds in forums such as these.
Mr. Secretary, I'm told that we are out of time.
I fucking bet. Yeah.
Yeah, we're out of time. One more thing, I guess. Let's see here. Terrorism. Terrorism is actually protest. I should have looked this up before I started. I don't know if I can find this. Yes. Tesla they call it protests as Trump and Musk brand activists. It's not protest, it's terrorism. Where's a good video of like a CNN? Yeah, maybe a fuck. I should have prepared more. Is this one of them? Dude, like only 29% of Americans support the left on their polling now. That's insane. It's actually a bad thing. We need, well, it doesn't really matter because the two-party system is just a joke. What is going on, though? This is so weird. Politics has gotten so weird now. I guess this is like advancements in propaganda. I can't believe it. There's no way this shit's real. Oh yeah, here we go. Like it's like too good to believe. Like, is Doge really exposing corruption? I mean, how is that real? Why would they? How is it like corruption's been going on for 100 years and they just like all of a sudden now are exposing it? I don't get it. It seems too good to be true. I don't trust it.
Also overnight had this post claiming that protests at Tesla dealerships are illegal.
Protests.
Today he would label
protests. They're burning cars. They're shooting bullets at Tesla dealerships. That's a protest. That's terrorism.
The protests are illegal. Oh my God.
How do they do this? How can you call it a protest? This is blatant 1984
it's so
shit.
Dishonest. It is crazy.
They used to do propaganda where it would appear like it was believable. This propaganda isn't even believable anymore. And I don't know, why are they doing this? Because from my understand, like Goebbels, he talks about you got to make your propaganda believable. Why are they doing this? Are they intentionally destroying the Democrats? Are they intentionally trying to like destroy Democrats so hard that we have like some authoritarian right country or something? I don't get it, the strategy
and
here.
this is the problem, is that like the people that do this live in so many layers of dishonesty that it's like it's almost impenetrable. Another round of mostly peaceful protests. Yeah, I guess so, right?
against dealerships, domestic terrorism. Now, you know I am judicious in how I play this sound, but I think you need to hear it from him.
Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some of the
violence that's been going. So the question is about the violence that's been going around in the country at dealership. Keyword violence.
Should be labeled domestic terrorists. I'll do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. Let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company. We're gonna catch you, and you're gonna go through hell.
So just to be clear, you protest a private company, you are labeled by this administration a domestic terrorist.
Look how dishonest that is. He was asked about violence against Tesla dealerships, and violence against Tesla dealerships. She goes, "Oh, so you protest and you're labeled a terrorist?" It's literally terrorism when you go because for political reasons you destroy Teslas. That's the definition of terrorism, and they're calling it a protest. This is self-sabotage. They can't be this stupid. This is intentionally just like when you side. Do you guys not? When you side and defend terrorists, this is like Gem Panda's Discord where you're defending pedophiles. You're not gonna win. Don't defend horrible people. Why are you defending horrible people? It's like a surefire. It's just a huge L. I don't get it.
But then you
Look at the first sentence. Some of the violence. The word is violence. It's not about the protests. Even the reporter is drawing the distinction. I think this woman would have a point if Trump was saying just the protesters, but he's not talking about just the protesters, and neither is the reporter asking the question. Let's listen to this again. And look at her. How do you really? You're like, oh, oh my God, bro, this is so smug. This is how idiots get brainwashed? I know.
Mr. President, talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships.
The violence. So are we saying that violence is protesting? I don't think that's the way it works. I'm pretty sure it's not.
Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists. I guess do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We
You're
can't.
reaching? Am I really? Like, let me ask you, what am I...
This is so stupid that I'm like convinced there's some like reverse psychology thing going here. I'm just trying to figure out the goal of it. Like I'm not seeing the goal here. Like are they're intentionally destroying the Democratic Party to have like a one party like authoritarian system? They want. And one thing I was thinking about, Trump keeps talking about expanding US territory, taking over Greenland, making Canada the 51st state. In the 90s and early 2000s, the big conspiracy was like the North American Union. It was this idea that Canada, America, and Mexico would become one country, and our currency is going to be the Amero. And it seems like they didn't do that. But now Trump, is this like Trump? They're like, oh no, all the conspiracy, they knew about the North American Union, but if we have Trump do the North American Union, they'll be cool with it. It's like is this some like reverse psychology that's going on? But then, is it the New World Order?
What am I reaching for? I mean, I'm very confused by this. Why?
So anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to share with what's like going on in politics, and it's fucking crazy, and yeah. You guys gotta get spiritually right. That's all I can say. Even Asmongold, the Roach King, the Albert Pike letter, seems like it. Especially with all the atheist nihilists. Okay, I'm gonna take off. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Some little politics, a little break from the God talk. Have a good night, everyone.